Keep your money, father. My soul is not for sale." The room went silent. Like a heartbeat. That was the moment a rich man lost his son, and a poor village gained a hero. My friends, this is an African tale of love, pride, and a choice that changed everything. Before I continue, my dear friends, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. I grew up in a mansion. We had gates that opened by themselves, cars that shone like mirrors, and servants who bowed when I walked past. My father, Arthur, was a man of power. My mother, Elizabeth, was a woman of high class. To them, the world was a ladder, and we were at the very top. I had everything. The best schools, the best clothes, and a future that was already written for me. But friends, I felt like a bird in a golden cage. My parents didn't see people. They saw status. They told me, "Mark, you are a prince. You must only walk with other princes." But inside, I was lonely. I didn't want the fancy parties. I wanted something real. I wanted a life that wasn't a performance. Little did I know, my heart was about to lead me far away from that mansion, and straight into the arms of trouble. It happened on a rainy Monday. My car had a flat tire in a part of town I usually never visited, the outskirts, where the roads are dusty and the houses are small. I was standing there, looking at my expensive suit getting wet, feeling completely useless. And then, I saw her. She was walking home from the market, carrying a heavy basket on her head. Her name was Blessing. Oh my friends, when she looked at me, I forgot about the rain. I forgot about the car. She didn't look at my watch or my shoes. She just looked at me. "Do you need help, brother?" she asked. Her voice was like music. She stayed with me. She showed me how to change that tire. She laughed at my clumsiness, and for the first time in my life, I felt human. Not the rich man's son. Just Mark. I couldn't stop thinking about her. Blessing was poor in money, yes, but she was the richest person I had ever met. She lived in a one-room house with her mother, but that house had more laughter in it than our 30-room mansion ever did. I started visiting her secretly. I would park my car far away and walk to her neighborhood. We would sit under the big mango tree, eating roasted corn and talking for hours. "Mark," she said one evening, looking at my soft hands, "your world and my world, they are like oil and water. They don't mix." I grabbed her hand and whispered, "Then we will make our own world, Blessing. I don't care about the oil or the water. I just care about you." Oh, I was so in love. I was blind to the storm that was gathering back at the mansion. One night, my father called me into his study. He looked at me with those cold, sharp eyes. "Mark," he said, throwing a photo onto the desk. It was a picture of me and Blessing at the market. "Who is this beggar?" My heart stopped. But then, a fire lit up inside me. "She is not a beggar, father. Her name is Blessing, and I love her." My mother gasped as if I had slapped her. "Love, Mark, she is a nobody. She has no family name, no wealth. We have already picked a wife for you, Victoria, the daughter of the senator." I looked at them, their expensive furniture, their cold faces, and I knew. I stood up tall and said, "Then keep your money. Keep Victoria. I am marrying Blessing." The room went silent. My father whispered, "If you walk out that door for that girl, You walk out with nothing. Not a penny. Not a name. And you know what? I walked out. I left the keys to the Mercedes on the table. I took my phone, a small bag of clothes, and I walked out into the night. I had never been so scared in my life, but I had never felt so free. I went straight to Blessing's house. When she saw me standing there in the dark, she cried, "Mark, what have you done? Your parents will hate me." I hugged her so tight. Let them hate. We have love, Blessing. And starting today, we start from zero. Friends, let me tell you, zero is a very hard place to be when you were born at the top. But I was ready. Or so I thought. Oh my people, you should have seen me. I spent my first night on a thin mat on the floor of a small shack. I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. Was that a rat? Was that the wind? Blessing watched me with so much pity. She brought me a cup of water and sat beside me. "Mark, you can still go back. Your father is a powerful man. He will forgive you if you leave me." I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the candlelight dancing in her eyes. "Blessing," I said, "I would rather sleep on this dirt floor with you than in a gold bed with a woman I don't love. Don't ever ask me to go back again." That night, we didn't have much, but we had the truth. And let me tell you, the truth is a very heavy thing when you are hungry. My best shirt, the only one I had, and went to the city. I thought, I have a degree. I am smart. People will hire me. But my father, oh, he was ahead of me. Every office I entered, the manager would look at my ID and then look at the phone. "Sorry, Mark, we aren't hiring. Sorry, Mark, we just filled the position." By 2 p.m., I realized what was happening. My father had blacklisted me. He wanted to starve me out. He wanted me to see that without his name, I was nothing. I sat on a park bench and put my head in my hands. For the first time, I felt the cold teeth of fear. How was I going to feed Blessing? I didn't give up. If the offices wouldn't take me, the streets would. I walked to a construction site where men were carrying heavy bags of cement. The foreman looked at my soft hands and laughed. "Rich boy, you want to carry cement? You will break in 10 minutes. Give me the bag," I said. Oh, friends, that first bag, it felt like a mountain was sitting on my neck. My legs were shaking. By the end of the day, my hands were bleeding and my back felt like it was on fire. I earned $5. $5. I used to spend $50 on a lunch without thinking. But when I walked home and showed Blessing that crumpled $5 bill, I felt like a giant. I had earned it. With my own blood. We didn't have a cake that cost thousands. We didn't have 500 guests. We got married under that big mango tree in Blessing's neighborhood. Blessing wore a simple white dress she sewed herself. I wore my one good shirt. Her mother gave us her blessing, but my side of the church, it was empty. Not one friend from my rich life showed up. They were all afraid of my father. When the pastor said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," I kissed her and felt like the king of the world. I whispered in her ear, "I will build you a life, Blessing. It might not be a mansion, but it will be ours." A few months later, Blessing whispered some news into my ear that made my heart jump. She was pregnant. At first, I was so happy. A baby. A little version of us. But then, the panic hit. We were living in a room where the roof leaked when it rained. We ate beans and rice almost every day. How was I going to pay for a hospital? How was I going to buy diapers? I started working 2 jobs. Construction by day, and guarding a warehouse by night. I barely slept. I became thin. My skin became dark from the sun. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize Mark anymore. But when I felt the baby kick in Blessing's stomach, I knew I would do it all over again. The night the baby came was the scariest night of my life. The rain was pouring down. We didn't have money for a taxi, so I carried Blessing on my back to the local clinic. When I heard that first cry, I fell to my knees and thanked God. We named him Peter. He was so small, so perfect. But looking at him, I felt the weight of the world. I promised him, Peter, you might have been born in a clinic with no electricity, but you have a father who will never leave you. But oh, my friends, the struggle was just getting started. There was a week when the construction work stopped because of the rain. I had no money coming in. I watched Blessing give the last of the pap to little Peter, while she herself hadn't eaten all day. I couldn't take it. I walked all the way to my father's mansion. I stood at those big gates I used to drive through. The security guards looked at me with pity. I asked to see my father. He came to the balcony. He looked down at me like I was a stray dog. Have you come to your senses, Mark? Leave the girl and her brat, and you can come inside. There is a steak waiting for you. I looked at him, and then I thought of Blessing and Peter waiting for me in our little room. No, Father, I shouted. I just wanted to see if you still had a heart. I see you don't. I turned around and walked back into the rain. Empty-handed, but with my soul intact. One afternoon, a man I used to wash cars for, back when I was desperate for any work, came to find me. His name was Mr. Brown. He was an older man, very quiet, very observant. Mark, he said, I've been watching you. I know who your father is. I know you could have stayed in that mansion. But you've been washing my car for months without a single complaint. Why? Because my family needs to eat, sir, I replied. Mr. Brown nodded. I'm starting a new logistics company. I need a manager. Someone who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty, but someone who also understands the big picture. Will you join me? Friends, I almost cried. It wasn't a handout, it was an opportunity. I said, yes, before he could even finish the sentence. I worked like a man possessed. I was the first one at the office and the last one to leave. I used the business skills my father had taught me, but I used the heart Blessing had given me. I treated the drivers with respect because I knew what it felt like to be a laborer. The company started to grow. People liked doing business with us because we were honest. For the first time in years, I was able to buy Blessing a new dress. I was able to buy Peter real shoes. We moved out of the slum and into a small, clean apartment. It wasn't a mansion, but to us, it was paradise. One day, while I was at my new office, a woman walked in wearing enough perfume to choke a horse. It was Victoria, the girl my parents wanted me to marry. Mark, she said, looking around my modest office with a sneer. Look at this place. It's so small. Your father is still willing to take you back, you know. He's getting old. He's lonely. Is he? I asked. Or is he just looking for someone to control? Don't be difficult, Victoria said, leaning over my desk. That girl you married, she will always be a peasant. You belong with us. Come back, and we can finally be the power couple everyone expects. Bag in her cold heart, and I thought of Blessing, who had stayed with me when I had nothing but a $5 bill. Victoria, I said, you are the one who is small. Please leave my office. A year later, the news came. My father, the invincible Arthur, had suffered a massive heart attack. My mother, Elizabeth, called me, crying, Mark, please come. He's calling for you. He's not the same man anymore. I went to the hospital. Walking into that private suite was like entering a different world. There were flowers everywhere, expensive machines, and my father, looking gray and fragile. Mark, he whispered, his voice barely a rattle. You actually did it. You built a life without me. I did, Father, I said, sitting by his bed. I wanted to break you, he confessed. I thought if you suffered enough, you would realize that money is everything. But you are the one who is at peace. I am the one who is dying in a room full of strangers. My father grabbed my hand. His grip was weak. Mark, I am changing my will. Everything, the houses, the cars, the millions, it will be yours. But you must make me a promise. You must give Peter the proper upbringing. Send him to the schools I choose. Keep him away from that side of town. Even on his deathbed, he was trying to control the future. I looked him in the eye. Father, I love you, and I forgive you. But Peter will be raised to know the value of a person's heart, not their bank account. If your money comes with chains, you can keep it. He looked at me for a long time, then he closed his eyes. You are just like me, he whispered. Headstrong. Foolish. But perhaps you are the better man. My father passed away that night. The funeral was huge. Everyone who was someone in the country was there. They all came to shake my hand, thinking I was now the richest man in the land. Victoria was there, dressed in black, already looking at me like I was her new prize. But when the lawyer read the will a week later, there was a shock. My father had left the majority of his wealth to a charity for homeless children. He left me the mansion, but only if I lived in it alone. If I stayed with Blessing, the mansion would be sold. The lawyer looked at me. Well, Mark, it's a $40 million property. What is your decision? I didn't even have to think. I looked at the lawyer and laughed. Sell it. Give the money to the charity. My mother shrieked. Mark, are you insane? That is our family home. No, Mother, I said. That was a house. My family home is where Blessing and Peter are. We don't need $40 million to be happy. We've already proven that. I walked out of that lawyer's office and went home to our apartment. Blessing had cooked a simple meal of jollof rice. We sat on the floor and ate with our hands, laughing as Peter tried to feed the cat. I have never felt richer. Victoria couldn't handle it. She was so angry that I had thrown away the fortune that she started spreading lies about Blessing. She told the newspapers that Blessing had bewitched me, that she was using dark magic to keep me away from my family. It was a mess. People were talking in the markets. My business partners started asking questions. Mark, is it true your wife is a gold digger? I stood up for my wife. I called a press conference. I didn't hire a PR person, I just spoke from the heart. My wife didn't dig for gold, I told the cameras. She dug for the man buried under the money. She found me when I was lost. If that is magic, then I hope everyone finds it. The lies stopped. People saw the truth. And my business actually grew because people trusted a man who would choose his wife over a mansion. My mother, Elizabeth, was left with a smaller inheritance. Without the mansion and the big parties, she was lost. She spent her days crying and complaining about how low we had fallen. One day, Blessing went to visit her. I didn't know about it. Blessing took little Peter with her. She didn't go to argue. She went to cook. She cleaned my mother's house. She let Peter play at her feet. Slowly, the ice began to melt. My mother realized that Victoria and her high-class friends hadn't called her once since the funeral. But Blessing, the girl she called a beggar, was the one bringing her soup. One evening, I found my mother and Blessing sitting on the porch together, shells of peas all over their laps, talking about the weather. That was the day I knew we had truly won. Years passed. My logistics company became one of the biggest in the country. We weren't billionaires like my father, but we were very, very comfortable. But we lived differently. We stayed in a nice, modest house. We sent Peter to a good school, but every weekend, we took him back to the neighborhood where his mother grew up. We made sure he knew how to carry a bag of cement, and we made sure he knew how to treat a servant. Peter, I told him, don't ever let your money make you deaf to the cries of the poor. Because remember, your father was once the man crying. We had 2 more children, Sarah and David. Our house was full of noise, laughter, and the smell of Blessing's cooking. I remember one night, sitting at the dinner table, looking at my family. My mother was there, smiling. Blessing was laughing at a joke David told. I thought about the mansion. I thought about the cold, silent dinners I had as a child. I realized that my father had died trying to protect a name, but I was living to protect a feeling. And that feeling was love. Many years later, I saw Victoria at a charity gala. She had aged poorly. Her face was tight from too many surgeries, and her eyes were full of bitterness. She had been married and divorced 4 times. Mark, she whispered, you look happy. How is it possible? You gave up everything. I looked at Blessing, who was across the room talking to a group of young students. I didn't give up everything, Victoria, I said. I gave up the things that didn't matter so I could keep the things that do. She didn't say anything. She just turned away and walked back into the crowd of people who didn't really know her. So, my friends, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because many of you are chasing gold and forgetting the person holding the shovel. Many of you think that status will protect you from loneliness. It won't. If you find a woman or a man who loves you when your pockets are empty, hold on to them. Build with them. Don't let your parents, your friends, or your pride tell you who to love. My name is Mark. I was born a rich man's son, I lived as a poor man's husband, and I am dying as a wealthy man's soul. Thank you so much for watching this African tale. Tell me, where are you watching from? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section, I'd really love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring African stories. And always remember, love, faith, and courage are the greatest treasures you can ever have. God bless you all. Bye.